Theology, studying what we know in our hearts. It seems simple enough. When we acquire a new interest, we often seek to learn as much as we can. When we are falling in love, we want to know more about the person. Seeking information is something we do naturally because we seek understanding. Yet when it comes to studying theology, many individuals are fearful. They fear learning too much, so they will no longer love God. They fear learning the wrong stuff, so what they believe to be true is proven wrong by another. They fear sounding stupid with questions, or they struggle to read what they do not understand. The fear is real, but it is not meant to be a prison. Fear in this case is meant to spur the person to more action, to further study. In our first book, the authors seek to provide a method for studying theology by first offering a definition of theology. They offer this definition. Christian theology is reflecting on and articulating the God-centered life and beliefs about that Christians share as followers of Jesus Christ, and is done in order that God may be glorified in all Christians are and do. This definition supports the argument for further study. The idea is that further study will provide not only a deeper understanding of the triune God, but will also glorify God. This can be an idea that is foreign to others who have a mistrust of theological education. Encouraging others to study theology is just that, encouragement. It is not a mandate. Rather, it is an invitation to learn more as they are able. The point is to help others understand the study of theology as a gift. For those who are most fearful, they will lose their faith. For those who are most fearful that they will lose their faith if they study theology, it is helpful to share your own experiences with the study of theology. What helped you move beyond stating truth to understanding truth? Share an experience when you understood the theology behind a specific practice of yours. Help them understand that study is not a bad thing and not to be feared. The authors present 5 different types of theology. The first level is where we all begin, folk theology. This is the kind of theology I found in my grandfather's words after my grandmother B died. He had just recently been baptized. He was in his 70s and had been attending worship services sporadically, having answered an altar call to be baptized, but no further encouragement to become part of the body of Christ, to become part of a congregation, or to continue his study. Everything ended at his baptism. At my grandmother B's visitation, my grandfather kept telling everyone not to worry about him because he knew B was looking down from a cloud watching him, and if he stepped out of line, she would send a lightning bolt down to singe his ass. His words. This kind of theology places all the power in the hands of humans, leaving little need for God other than giving us a cloud and the power of lightning. Once we have accepted that we are sinners and that we need to be baptized, there is nothing left to do after that. The second level of theology is lay theology, and this comes as we begin to study. A great example of this kind of theology is the adult Sunday school class in the congregation I serve. Here is a collection of adults who have been friends for more than 40 years. They have worked together, prayed together, served the church together, and learned from each other. These individuals have a deep love of God and a desire to learn more about the Bible and the church while relating their faith to contemporary culture. Each week they get together and share what they have been learning, sometimes studying outside of class and sometimes simply sharing their experiences. All of them recognize the need for more study, but they do not always seek to learn more, oftentimes content with what they know, while occasionally asking for more information or a resource from the pastor in residence. The third level of theology is ministerial theology, and this is the level we begin to reach as we undertake more diligent study. We come to a place in our study when we realize God is bigger than our folk theology, and that we desire more knowledge than our Sunday school classes offer, so we begin to study theology in depth. The lay pastors in my denomination oftentimes fall into this category. They have learned more than the average person in the pew, but stop when they reach the goal of knowing what they need to know to serve a congregation. I suppose this is also true of some ordained pastors. In my experience, this is as far as many people will go in the study of theology, because they fear knowing too much, or they do not find value in further study. The fourth level of theology is professional theology, and this is the category I would classify myself as residing in. At this level rest many of the ordained pastors I know. We bridge the gap between academic theology and all of the rest of the theologies. We recognize the value of further academic study, but work in a world full of folk theology, and therefore spend our time moving among the categories, translating as needed. A person in this category does not have to be an ordained pastor. Instead, they are a person who loves to study and pushes themselves to become a bridge or a translator for others. Now, the fifth level of theology the authors spoke about was academic theology. This level is full of the professional theologians or seminary professors. They are the ones who seek to go deeper into the study of history and languages and the scripture and spend their time teaching people who would be in the professional theology category what they've discovered. They are partners with the professional theologians, and they partner with them to develop the love of the study of theology among communities of faith. Some of us may end up in this level of study, while others will rest comfortably in the professional category. And the paper for Unit 2 required you to think about the tools for theological study as presented by the authors. The authors presented the idea of blending 3 tools to create an integrative motif. Returning to the adult Sunday school class, you will have hopefully picked up on their use of these 3 tools in their study. The class always begins with the biblical message. The class is made up of individuals who come from 5 different denominations, and together they work through their understanding of practices and history to make sense of the biblical message through the heritage of the church, their specific denominations they grew up in, and the denomination we all currently reside in. They weave into their discussion what is happening in society to find relevance in the biblical message. They have developed this method of study over the years because it helps them to live their faith. We can adopt this method of study for our own edification. In fact, the author suggests we be mindful of this integrative approach to ensure we do not become isolated in one kind of study. Developing our method of study allows us to see that all of life is a study of theology. As we develop our study habits, we begin to create a lens by which we see the world through our understanding of God. If, like my grandfather, we see God as a giver of clouds and power in the afterlife, we may try to make better choices in life, but our ultimate goal in life is to avoid punishment, not to find fulfillment in answering Christ's call. Our lives are a reflection of our theology. What does your life say to others? The paper from the World Council of Churches is an attempt to present a unified understanding of ecclesiology. Too often, Christians seek division rather than unification. This is historic and will likely continue until Christ comes again. But it does not relieve us of our responsibility to seek unity in the body. There are times when we need simply to seek to find one point we agree on and build from there. In developing our method of study, it serves us well to observe how others have found a way to agree among so much disagreement. Dialogue is vital to the development of the church. In order to enter into a productive conversation with others, it is important to understand your context. This means putting words to your history. Unless you are able to answer with something more than, "This is how I've always done it," it will be difficult to develop relationships with others. Part of understanding your history is to pursue your education, whether formal or informal. The point is to study. As you study, you will begin to be able to articulate the reasons for your practices. Once you understand why you do what you do, you will become better equipped to speak to others about the topic of theology. Finally, determine what you are dreaming of for the future. Are you dreaming that you will get to the end of this life and have a tally number of individuals you can say you saved? Are you dreaming of developing the fruits of the Spirit so at the end of this life others remember your faith? Whatever it is you are dreaming of, when you recognize what you are dreaming of, you will be able to focus your study. Once you have developed your own method of study, you will begin to recognize how you use those tools to critique the theology of others. This will help you to build relationships with those who are different than you. Seek to understand their method for studying theology, their context, and their goals. Once you can define those categories, follow the example of the World Council of Churches and find a point of agreement to begin building a shared theology. Our final 3 units will have us studying specific doctrines. As you read this book of collected essays, seek to critique their theology as mentioned previously. If you find yourself in disagreement, seek to find a point of agreement. If you cannot find a point of agreement, seek to develop an understanding of why you cannot agree. Use your tools to understand their theology. As you continue your study of theology, both in this class and outside of it, hopefully outside of this class, here are 3 books to read along the way. Thank you.